Hey, Stan here with Dry Face Consulting. We saved our clients over $1 million in app development costs by using no code. Here today, I'm pretty excited. So we were able to get early access to Bubble's new native mobile app builder. I attended BubbleCon. We're also a silver agency, so I think it was some combination of those two. But I wanted to kind of just share some early thoughts. I don't think I've discovered every single little piece, but from what I've seen, I'm actually pretty excited. So real quick, like I said, I'm going to just kind of go through the things that really jumped out at me. So I actually have an app we were using, I think, build natively for this one. So I was going to use that and try and rebuild it in the native app builder. So this is the app page that we're using for build natively, which works very similar to BDK if you've used that. So one of the biggest things that jumps out at me that I'm a huge fan of is if you've built a native app before using one of those two plugins, you'll recognize the fact that what you're typically doing is you are building a single page app SPA, and basically you're hiding and showing and collapsing basically groups, right? So we've got a login screen, a task screen, a task detail, barcode scanner, profile screen. So the biggest thing that jumps out at me is on the native app builder, you're not doing that. Essentially what you're doing, instead of having a single, quote unquote, a single page app, each screen on the page on the app is what's called a mobile view. So again, instead of hiding and showing groups as app screens, you're actually creating mobile views. So one thing that was right off the bat that I realized is, by default, I would hide those screens. And so in this case, you actually have to show them by default. So that was the first thing. So second thing is when you create a new one, and let's just do this with a login screen from the old app. So I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to call it login and make it blank. We'll call it app login. Login. Okay, so that's great. So right here, let's look at the options. So number one, you can show and hide the status bar in the safe area. And I think that's just to make sure you're not building an area that would kind of be covered by, some of the status stuff on like an iPhone or things like that. Second thing is you'll notice here, you've got a couple different options for view types. So you've got scrollable, not scrollable, vertical list, section list. So one thing that jumps off at me is in this new native app builder, repeating groups are not even an option. And so you would have to use a vertical list or a section list. A section list is kind of what it says is kind of broken up into multiple, I guess, essentially repeating groups. And then a vertical list would be just one long list. And so from what they mentioned, it's supposed to perform better and has some other native features. And there's another big feature that I'll kind of share in a second that go along with these lists, vertical list elements. And then the other thing you'll notice is that I really love is you can, on this screen, opt to show a tab bar. So at the bottom. So basically, it's a native navigation menu. And then you can include or choose not to include this particular tab, this particular mobile view as a tab item. So what's nice is if I add that, it automatically adds it. I can go in and I can change it to login if I wanted to. And I can change the icon to something else. So I love that. And so by default, it automatically, we don't have to build out the workflows to navigate to those particular screens. That's built in automatically. So that is awesome. So actually, I'm going to make this the login. So I'm going to make that not scrollable. And then I'm going to go over here real quick. And I'm going to basically copy with workflows. And I'm going to just paste the whole thing. And I'm gonna paste it with workflows. And there's a bunch of errors. So I have to go in and kind of reconnect a couple things and delete some things. But you get the idea. So, if you do have an existing app, it is fairly easy. In this case, I am not going to include it. And I'm also not going to show the tab bar. Yep, tab bar on the login screen. So really cool. This is going to speed up mobile app development quite a bit. I know for myself, keeping track of showing and hiding screens was a huge headache, and trying to go and edit it was just a massive headache, and trying to find the screen that you need to show was just a big pain. So the fact that this is now kind of all, functions very similar to like a web app page in Bubble is awesome to me. So that's really a big change. Now, fix that. I'm not worried about that now. So then the other thing I'll mention is app tasks. So there's a bunch of cool things. So number one is, if I go in, with this list, I can add a workflow. One of the things you'll notice is you've got when the content is tapped, but there's also an option where an element is pressed. So you can do a long press workflow versus a tap workflow. So again, I don't believe those were options in BDK or build natively. So these are some new options that, I hadn't seen before in some of the plugins and wrapping services that we've used in the past. Now, here's the one that's really awesome. So built in is this swiping option. So if I hover over a list view item, then you'll see these two plus signs on either side. So if I click the plus sign, let's do a trailing. So you'll see this essentially button appear. And essentially what would happen is if you swipe this group on the native app itself, then this button would appear. You can add multiple ones. So, I could do a second one. So this one, I could do a smiley face and then make that green. And so both those options would appear if you swiped over. So again, giving you a lot of native features that really weren't available with some of the other plugins that we've used. And it's really easy to use. The last thing I guess two more quick things is there's some functionality. It was hard because I actually have the BDK and build natively plugins added on here, but I'm pretty sure these are specific to the native app builder. So there's two native functions that I don't think appear anywhere else. Actually, I can double check that. If I just go to app, let's just do user login. I'm just going to do this. Yeah, so that the native app actions don't show up on a regular page, so that must be from the native app builder. So let's just go back into the app login. So again, I can, I've got open camera library. So again, some new features that aren't available in some of the other plugins and wrapping services that we'd use. And so the last thing I'll mention is testing it now, but Bubble does have, currently it's only on iOS, but there's a Bubble Go app, which is essentially the preview app. So you can go, it's pretty cool. I just tested it out. You can log into your Bubble account, and then all the apps where you have a native app will automatically show up in that app, and then you can go ahead and just preview that app right from there. Super easy, very cool. So yeah, just some overall thoughts. Just to be clear, there's a lot of functionality that isn't available yet on the native mobile app builder. Bubble has said that they are going to roll this out in stages, which is probably a smart way to do it. But from what I've seen, I'm really liking what I see. I like the swiping gesture, UI UX options. I like the mobile view screen creations versus kind of the current show and hide groups all on a single page app. That's always been kind of a headache in my mind. And so I think if they continue to add the features, I think it's going to be a game changer for Bubble. And like I said, I really like what I see so far. That's it. If you like our content, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to our channel. We're trying to put out a couple of videos a week. And hope to talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.